Hey listeners, this is Peter and welcome back to the History Shorts. Today's episode is brought to you by the Podcast Republic, your ultimate listening app. Discover and subscribe to thousands of podcasts from around the world. Download Podcast Republic today, available on Google Play and the Apple App Store. Today on History Shorts, it began as nothing more than a whisper on the steppe. The sound of horses, the clash of iron, and the cry of a people who would one day rule the largest continuous empire the world has ever seen. From the frozen plains of Mongolia to the deserts of Persia, from the gates of China to the heart of Europe, the Mongol Empire reshaped continents, destroyed kingdoms, and built a network of trade and cultural exchange that linked East and West for the first time in history. Today's history brief comes to us from History's Last Stand by Gerard and Patricia Del Rey. A quick word from our sponsors. This day in history. On January 18, 1911, Eugene Ely successfully landed an airplane on the deck of a ship, proving that aircraft could operate from naval vessels, a breakthrough that would forever change warfare and global power. On January 18, 1977, scientists identified the bacterium responsible for Legionnaire's disease, solving a deadly medical mystery that had followed an outbreak in Philadelphia the year before, and advancing modern medicine. Story of the day. In the late 12th century, the Mongol steppe was a vast, unforgiving expanse, a land of wind, grass, and blood feuds. Dozens of nomadic clans fought endlessly over herds, territory, and survival. Amid this chaos was born Temujin around 1162 to a minor tribal family. His father was poisoned when Temujin was still a boy, leaving his mother and siblings destitute and abandoned by their clan. For years, the young Temujin lived as an outcast, hunted, enslaved, and starving. But hardship forged him into something that the steppe had never seen before: a leader who would unite the Mongol tribes under one banner, not by lineage, but by loyalty. By his 20s, Temujin had began building alliances across the steppes, rewarding merit rather than birth. Warriors followed him not because of who his father was, but because of what he promised, which was power, spoils, and destiny. Through strategy, charisma, and sheer will, he crushed rival clans one by one. And then in 1202, after years of brutal warfare, a grand council of tribes proclaimed him Genghis Khan, or the universal ruler. And with that, the Mongol Empire was born. Genghis Khan's military genius lay not in sheer numbers. His forces were often smaller than those that they conquered, but in discipline, communication, and fear. His cavalry was divided into precise units of tens, hundreds, and thousands, allowing for flexibility and coordination across vast distances. Every soldier carried multiple horses, ensuring stamina and speed. The Mongols could travel up to 100 miles in a single day, an almost supernatural speed for medieval armies. But their true weapon was psychological warfare. Before attacking a city, Genghis would offer surrender. Those who submitted were often spared and incorporated into his growing empire. Those who resisted, however, were annihilated, their cities burned, their populations massacred, and word of their destruction deliberately spread to terrify others into submission. This calculated terror became his strategy: conquer through fear as much as force. In a few short decades, Genghis and his generals swept across Asia. They obliterated the Khwarezmian Empire, razed cities like Bukhara and Samarkand, and even launched campaigns into the fringes of Europe. As one Persian chronicler later wrote, "They came, they sapped, they burned, they slew, and they vanished." By the time of Genghis Khan's death in 1227, the Mongol Empire stretched from the Pacific Ocean to the Caspian Sea, and the conquest was far from over. After Genghis' death, his empire did not collapse, it actually expanded. His successors, notably Ögedei Khan, continued the wars of conquest. In the 2030s, Mongol armies swept through Russia and Eastern Europe, defeating knights and princes with ease. In 1241, they crushed Polish and Hungarian forces at Legnica, sending shockwaves across Christendom. Only the sudden death of Ogadai and his need to elect a new Grand Khan spared Western Europe from further devastation. Meanwhile, in the east, Genghis's grandson Kublai Khan turned his gaze toward China. After decades of siege and warfare, Kublai conquered the Song dynasty in 1279, unifying all of China under foreign rule for the first time in history. He founded the Yuan dynasty, moving the Mongol capital to modern-day Beijing and ruling as both emperor and Khan. Under Kublai's reign, the Mongol Empire reached its greatest territorial extent, from Korea to the Black Sea, encompassing roughly 1/5 of the planet's entire landmass. No empire before or since has ever connected so much of the known world. It's easy to think of the Mongols only as conquerors, destroyers who left nothing but ashes in their wake. But that's not the full story. Under Mongol rule came something historians now call the Pax Mongolica, or the Mongol Peace. From the mid-1200s to the early 1300s, the Silk Road flourished as never before. Caravans, laden with silk, spices, gold, and glassware, traveled from China to the Mediterranean, protected by Mongol patrols. Traders, diplomats, and missionaries, including Marco Polo, moved freely across continents. The Mongols standardized weights and measures, encouraged trade, built relay stations with fresh horses every 25 miles, and then issued paper passports guaranteeing safe passage across their empire. They also spread ideas and technologies. Gunpowder, the compass, and printing techniques all made their way westward under Mongol supervision. Even the postal system, the yam, was centuries ahead of its time, allowing messages to cross thousands of miles in mere weeks. For a brief moment, the world was more connected and more cosmopolitan than ever before. Yet beneath the surface of Mongol efficiency obviously lay the same fragility that haunts every great empire. Genghis had divided his empire among his sons and grandsons, and with each generation, rivalry grew. By the 14th century, the once unified Mongol world had fractured into several different khanates, including the Golden Horde in Russia and the Yuan dynasty in China among some. Each claimed descent from Genghis, but their unity was gone, divided into 4 equal parts. Religious differences deepened the divisions. Some converted to Islam, others to Buddhism, while still others adopted Chinese or Christian influences. Trade continued, but the spirit of conquest simply faded. When the plague struck the Silk Road in the 1340s, the Black Death, the Mongol trade routes that had once connected civilizations now transmitted catastrophe. By the time Yuan dynasty fell to native Chinese rebels in 1368, the Mongol Empire was no more. What had been born in the saddle, fast, ruthless, and unstoppable, ended in fragmentation and retreat. Now, before I let you go, it's difficult to overstate the impact of the Mongol Empire. Yes, their conquest destroyed cities and cost millions of lives, but they also transformed global history in profound ways. They linked Europe and Asia into a single economic system for the first time. They accelerated the exchange of goods, languages, and technologies. They shattered old political boundaries and reshaped the geography of power. Even after the empire fell, the world they created, one of the interconnection and global exchange, endured. The History Brief. The following comes to us from Gerard and Patricia Del Rey's book, History's Last Stand, published in 1993. Today, the last day of President McKinley. President McKinley was in Buffalo, New York to make a speech about commercial exchange among nations at the Pan American Exposition. On September 6, 1901, the day after his appearance at the exposition, the president was greeting guests in a receiving line at the Temple of Music Hall, flanked by Secret Service agents who anxiously urged the greeters to be brief. A young man named Leon Czolgosz, an anarchist, approached the president with a handkerchief resembling a bandage covering his left hand. McKinley extended his hand, but Czolgosz pushed it aside, and then the handkerchief suddenly exploded with gunfire. A dazed expression of horror and surprise on his face, his hands gripping his stomach, the president sighed weakly. "Cortelyou," John Cortelyou was his secretary, standing at his side. Earlier that day, he had expressed fears of an assassination attempt, and now it happened. 2 bullets from a short-barreled .32 caliber Iver Johnson revolver had struck the president. One of the bullets had pierced the wall of McKinley's stomach and proved to be fatal. The wounded president lingered near death for more than a week until September 14th at 2:15 a.m. McKinley said his last words. "It's God's way. He will be done, not ours. We are all going, oh dear." Those words pronounced, William McKinley died. Born January 29, 1843 in Niles, Ohio, he was 58 years old. Thank you so much for tuning in once more and helping to make this little show such a mighty success. If you're enjoying this show, as I've been saying this week, and would like to help me out with its production, you can always donate a few dollars to buy me a coffee or become a Patreon member to enjoy these episodes ad-free. Both Patreon and Buy Me a Coffee links can be found on my website at www.historyshortspodcast.com. Thank you again for your patronage and support. History Shorts Podcast, as I always say, is just a one-man show from research to script to production and editing. So if you are buying me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com, you really are buying me a coffee. Have a great rest of your day, and I will talk to you all again tomorrow.